name is Rachel Gordon, and I am the Mental Health Program Director at Albany Middle School and McGregor High School, which is an alternative credit recovery program within Albany High. And then my counterpart, who is not here, is named Shelley Ball, and she's the Mental Health Program Coordinator of Albany High. So our site is Albany Unified School District, but we are 3 sites in one. So we have the middle school, the high school, and this alternative high school. And we have placements at all 3 of those places. Yeah, as I mentioned, so we are a school-based site. So you would be inside the school working with the students, the teachers, faculty, and staff of Albany Middle School, Albany High School, and McGregor. And as I mentioned before, McGregor is a credit recovery program. So it's for juniors and seniors at Albany High who have been identified as not on track to graduate, either because of issues with truancy and absences or because they're failing important classes that you need to graduate from high school. And so they're funneled into this credit recovery program, which is quite small and has more of a wraparound service. And all of those students are offered mental health support. So you would be placed at one of those 3 sites. In terms of population, you'd be working with our students. So in the middle school, 6th through 8th grade, so kind of 11 to 14-ish. And then at the high school, 14 to 18. And at McGregor, it's really 16 through 18. But we do provide some opportunities for crossover. So for example, if you're at McGregor, but you want a couple middle school kids, we do give the opportunity of doing a half day or a full day swap so that you can get some diversity in age. We see kids with, I mean, you name it, the kids at Albany are going to present with it. We have eating disorders, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, social anxiety, trauma, family discord. I mean, any kind of interest you might have in terms of a mental health presentation, you'll find it here. And then our population is also pretty diverse. We have a lot of kids who are gender nonconforming or non-binary or part of the LGBTQ+ community. We also have a fair amount of diversity in terms of race and ethnicity and country of origin or language spoken at home. In Albany, there are many Latinx students, Mongolian students, and Chinese students, in addition to white, African American, or Black students. And then, yeah, I mentioned the age diversity, sort of 11 to 18. And our program itself includes an hour of weekly supervision, 2 hours of group supervision. And then our hope would be that you would be seeing about 12 students a week for your caseload, and some family work, crisis intervention, and case management as needed. So we really want to make sure that people feel really comfortable with clinical documentation after this, this internship, which is an unfortunate reality of the field. So we do have notes, school chart notes and personal notes that we have all of our interns do, and we make sure they feel really supported and getting comfortable with clinical language and what you need to be writing and documenting. But that is another is a responsibility they have in addition to the client hour. And then we really encourage our interns to work with families and caregivers if that makes sense. So we see some of our kiddos through minor consent because that's just sort of what they need. And then if we can get parents and families involved, we really love that. So there's opportunities for family therapy sessions or parent collateral work. And then in addition to that, there's often case management work. We usually have a bigger need here at Albany than we can meet. So sometimes there'll be things like triaging, figuring out if a family has the means and ability to like get a private therapist, and then can we help connect them to that service. So there's some case management, family work, coordination with teachers and staff. So you can talk to academic counselors, teachers, wrap around the kid if they need support at the school. So it is different at every site. So I'll describe it briefly. Albany Middle School has a really amazing tiered approach so that by the time they get to us at the mental health program, they've gone through their academic counselors, there's some social emotional supports and resources, and then there's us. So all the referrals at Albany Middle School are through the academic counselors. At McGregor, any kid in McGregor is offered services. So just by being there, that's a referral. And then at Albany High, anybody can really do a referral. So teachers or school staff, students themselves, a friend can refer you, a parent. So it's Albany High has a much greater sort of variety of ways that you can get referred. So our hope is to strike that beautiful balance of, pushing your growth edges and really fostering your learning and not overwhelming you at the same time. So we know for MFTs, for example, 10 client hours a week equals 1 hour of supervision. So that's really what we aim for, is 10 client hours a week, but that might mean 12 or 13 cases you're working with, but one person you see every other week, one student is a monthly check-in, and the rest are all weekly. So it can vary. 10 to 12 is sort of the sweet spot we try to find. So there are 2 supervisors at our site. If you are at the middle school or McGregor, you would have individual supervision with me. And if you were at the high school, you would have individual supervision with Shelley Ball, my counterpart. So you get 1 hour of individual supervision a week with each of us. And then we have 2 hours of group supervision, which is every Thursday afternoon from 3:30 to 5:30. So that would be a time that we would need everybody to be able to make, regardless of what days they're at the placement. So we have didactic trainings every year, and we generally like to have the topics decided by our intern class. So for example, last year we had 4 hours total on working with trans and gender nonconforming youth. We had a training on sand tray. We had a training on non-suicidal self-injury, among other things. So it's sort of TBD. We really just want to make sure we're providing training that feels relevant and meaningful to our intern class. Normally, didactic trainings are during the case conference time because it's just hard to get everybody together at the same time. And then other training opportunities are in your individual supervision or group supervision, where we do things like, case presentations and talk about clinical themes and stuff like that. School placements are really special and awesome because there's so much variation that can happen throughout the day. We have students drop in, you have your weekly caseload. So people who do really well here are able to be flexible and allow their schedules to sort of shift and change if the day calls for it. Being organized is helpful because, you have to get the consent, and then you have to write your note, and you have to remember who you've called and who you need to email. There's a lot of moving parts. So organizing yourself in whatever way works for you, writing to-do list, reminders on your computer, whatever, but someone who's organized does well here. And then really what we're looking for is someone who's just curious and has an open clinical mind. I am psychodynamic in my training, and so that's what I bring. Shelley is more solution focused and very systems oriented. So we both have different perspectives, and we're really interested in learning from our trainees and want them to bring whatever they're interested in. And then we offer those things too. But really, curiosity and openness is a big one. It's a great question. Let me think back to the feedback that we've gotten last year. I mean, there is a steep learning curve here at the school. We have many systems that you have to learn, like how do you write a school pass and where do you bring that to? And do you call the parent first? And, there's just a lot of details. So at the beginning, it can kind of feel like, whoa, I've got a lot to keep track of here. So that can be something that's tough. And even though our placement is in Albany, and I don't know how many people are from the Bay Area or know Albany well, but Albany often has a reputation of being not as diverse as it really is, and being a somewhat affluent community. And while that's true in many ways, we actually get some pretty high need cases. So I think just sort of balancing making sure that you're taking care of yourself as you're learning to be a new therapist and dealing with things like CPS reports or assessing for suicidality or feeling some high affect in the room, which you likely will experience at this placement. That can be a challenge too. It's just making sure you're taking care of yourself as you're learning. Yes. One thing is I have worked in many schools and so has Shelley. Shelley, so the person who isn't here with me is Shelley Ball. She's a real veteran of schools. She actually started this program at Albany about 15 years ago. She's been in schools for 30 years. So she comes with a lot of experience and wisdom. And I have a background in community mental health and in psychodynamic theory. So we sort of have a really nice different strengths that we bring. And Albany is a really great school district. The people are very mental health savvy, really whole child focused. And so this is a placement and a school where the principal will be on board with whatever you're advocating. Teachers are pretty generally accommodating. So it's not a school system where you have to fight to get people to recognize mental health, which is not true of all school systems. So Albany's sort of unique and special in that way. And the other really great thing is you'll get all the experiences you could possibly want here. And the last thing I'll say is that teenagers are just a really special age. And, I know not all people think they want to work with teens, but there is something really incredible about getting that gristly teenager in your office and then having a really vulnerable moment with them and seeing sort of the layers underneath. And the development that's happening at this age is just so incredible to witness. So I would say this age group is a really special age group. So hopefully people will be excited about working with them because it's totally, adolescents are my passion. So